Thanks for joining us this morning for this shortlisted support workshop. I hope it's going to be a useful hour for you. If you're joining this session, it means you're shortlisted, obviously, for one of the awards this year. So the first thing to do is to congratulate all of you for getting through the initial round of judging. But the hard work probably starts now in terms of preparing for the second and final round of judging, as the judges make their decisions on who the winners are going to be this year for NECCA 21. This morning's session will basically take us through the judging process itself from now on, in terms of the format of that, and we'll be looking at the timetable for that as well. And judges have joined us from the core team to give us their kind of do's and don'ts, tips and advice as well, from having been a judge in the past and having had a look through all of the applications that have come in for this year's awards. As you see there, the agenda will mainly be devoted to preparing for your interview, and the judges, Julie, Mark, Nicola and Stuart, will each take the floor in turn to provide their own advice from the coalface. They've all been there, done it in terms of going for these awards, competing and winning these awards, in Mark, Nick and Stuart's case. So they've got a lot of credibility in terms of passing on that advice, and I hope it's going to be a useful session for everyone who's joined. There'll be ample time at the end for Q&A as well. We've had nominations from, well, 105 nominations this year, so it's a fantastic response yet again, in spite of the busy lives that we all lead. So thanks for getting your nominations in. We've got 15 organisations that have been shortlisted this year. Most, if not all of those, will be on the call. So let's get started and have a look through what we're going to be doing this morning. In terms of housekeeping, if you can put questions into the chat, please, within Zoom, that would be great. And we can either handle those if they're urgent straight away, or possibly we'll leave that until the end when we pick up the Q&A in a sort of interactive session towards the end of the hour. If you're not speaking, then it'd be great if you could keep yourselves muted just in case of phones ringing or dogs barking. And yeah, if you can just put your name on your background to make sure that we are aware of everyone who's on the call. Okay, thanks. Next slide, please, Bryony. Yeah, so one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the judging timeline. You've all received by now emails from Bryony. That's Bryony Laidler, my colleague who's the event manager for NECCA. Bryony's running the programme and organising the awards ceremony taking place on the 11th of November. So you'll all be in touch and close contact with Bryony, I'm sure, and she's confirmed your times and dates for either your interviews, your personal interviews, or your panel interviews, or your virtual site visits that we're running this year if you're in for the contact centre of the year. You see the dates there that we've got a series of sessions beginning later this month and going on for approximately 4 or 5 weeks. And that period takes us all the way through the second round of judging. So if you are going for an individual award, a team award, or an organisational award, you'll have received specific information from Bryony, and you've probably got that date and time, I hope, in your diaries by now, and you're busily preparing for that. If you haven't received a direct email from Bryony, please ask a colleague or get in touch directly with us, and we can send that again with your specific appointment for the second round of judging. Okay, next slide, please. Thanks, Bryony. Judging format, yeah, just to highlight this, I'm sure it's the information's been, as I say, received by you all, so you're familiar with how we're going to do things this year. Essentially, we've got the 3 levels of awards. We've got individual level, team level, and organisational level. So individual level awards, first of all, we've got a 40-minute individual interview for most of the individual level awards, with one exception, that being the Inspirational Leader, which is obviously the most senior level individual award. We've expanded the time slot for that particular interview, so that'll be 75 minutes with a lead judge and a support judge. And as you can see there, we've split that 75 minutes down into an initial input from yourselves to talk about the culture of your organisation, and then more questions from the lead judge and support judge, and then with interviews also with your team members and your line manager as well. So if you're an individual, inspirational leader within that individual award category, it's quite an involved process. Other individual awards, a 40-minute interview with a lead judge and a support judge. Okay, so level 2, the team category, and also the People Engagement Award and Outsourcing Provider Award. Again, we've got 40-minute slots for those team and 2 organizational level awards. We've got those interviews taking place with a lead judge and also a supporting panel of judges that have been selected from our group of judges this year. And that time slot, that 40-minute time slot, is broken down into a 20 minutes presentation and then a 20-minute Q&A from the judges. Finally, last but not least, of course, Contact Centre of the Year, both size categories, over and under 250 seats. We've decided to go virtual. When we were making the decisions on this, we thought that not everyone will be back up to maybe a full head of steam in terms of everyone being back at their offices. So we decided to go virtual to make it equitable for everyone in that regard and create a 2-hour virtual site visit. And that 2-hour slot is essentially yours to create an agenda for, which will be directed by yourselves from the contact centre itself. And you've got full creative license to use that time as effectively as you wish to bring in several members of your team to cover all the aspects of the contact centre's quality excellence, customer service, policies, procedures, etc. So that's a little bit about our judging format. And what we're going to do now is bring in turn, Julie, Mark, Nicola and Stuart to give a little bit of benefit from their wisdom, benefit from having judged NECCA and other similar awards programs for many years now. And each judge is going to take the floor for 5 or 10 minutes and give a little overview of what's really important from their point of view in terms of the next round of judging, what to be aware of when you're preparing for those, and how to perform and get your points across most clearly when you're in the interviews situation, or indeed the virtual site visit situation. So first is Julie Mordue, Client Relationship Manager for Green Bean, who I'm sure is familiar to most, if not all, on the call. So Julie, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. Over to you.
Thank you, Andrew, and welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us, and congratulations for getting here. Fantastic that the number of entries this year was again record breaking for NECCA, and you know, it's the further we go on with this program, the stronger all of the nominations become. So congratulations on getting through to this point. Should be a real celebration for you. So I'm delighted once again to be here. First of all, I just wanted to say that use this opportunity for getting through to the next phase of judging as, you know, an engagement piece with your people. Enjoy it. It's a real opportunity for you to reflect on your previous 12 months, get your team together to help bring this nomination to life. So the best the best ones that the judges generally see is where you've got a good cross section from your contact centre involved, from members of the frontline team, some of the back office team, not just the leadership and marketing teams. Those generally don't bring to life the full operation. Your frontline people are the people that really demonstrates and brings things to life. So use that as a real opportunity to get everybody together, get them engaged, get them excited, because this is part of the excitement and part of the process. So this is equally as important as the awards night, because it gives you a good chance to reflect on your successes over the last 12 months and really bring it to life. The more excited you can get your people about it, the more excited you can get the judges on the day. And that's what it's all about, is bringing the nomination to life. So, you know, first top tip, involve your people, cross-section of people, get them involved. If it's a team category, if it's an individual category, then, you know, just bring in your other people involved, not necessarily on the judging, but getting them involved in the quotes, in testimonials, how other people will support your nomination. So not just about you bringing your nomination to life, but what other people think about you in your organisation as well. My second tip, know your competition. So this is where we generally find some organisations may let themselves down, and you've still got time to pull this back if this is the case. This is where the judges will really see whether you network with the local contact centre community, with the wider contact centre community throughout the UK and Europe. And this is your opportunity to evidence that you are well networked and you know what's going on with your competition in both cross and vertical sectors. So everybody within your organisation knows how great you are, otherwise you wouldn't be working there and you wouldn't have got through to this point. What the next stage is for you to bring to life to the judges, that you understand how good you are, both within your organisation but externally as well. How do you benchmark against your peers? How do you benchmark against your competitors, not just in your same industry, but other industries? And there's lots of benchmarking that you can get. Reports, Contact Babel are really good at some reports. Some you have to pay for, but you can get an awful lot free. And just really know your competition, know who's in your local area as well. So if you're in a category and you know you're just a frontline advisor or you're a team manager and you're not going in for a Contact Centre of the Year award, it's still important to understand where you are in the wider contact centre community, because what we're looking for here is best practice in the industry, not just best practice within your organisation. So I think that's really key, is just understanding the market that you're in and your competitors and who else is around you in the local vicinity as well. Your evidence, that's a really important one again, whereas you need to back up and tell us, you know, in your nomination, you've got through to this point, that you're great and, you know, you're coming through to the next phase. But if the evidence doesn't back that up, then that's what the judges are going to be looking for. We're not looking to try and trip you up here. We want to really bring it to life and just for you to make it as easy as possible for you guys to evidence what you're saying. So do your stats back up what you're saying? So you say it's a great place to work, but if your attrition's really, really high, then, you know, we would be questioning that. If your health and wellbeing policy, you know, you're looking at all the initiatives you're doing, but your absence is really high, your short-term and your long-term absence, again, the judges will dig into things like that. So it's just being aware that we will look for evidence of what you're saying. It's not just about what your people say about you, but it's about, we need to back it up. We need to know what the impact is of some of these initiatives that you're doing. And make every minute count. This sounds really simple, but I think one of the biggest things for me is this is your chance to get the judges excited about your organisation and really bring it to life for us to want to know more and for us to understand why you should be a winner, why your team should be a winner, or why organisations are a winner. So this is your opportunity not just to repeat what's already in your nomination, but bring that to life, bring some excitement into it. You know, the vibrancy, you're telling us it's a vibrant place to work, you're telling us it's a great place to work. Try and bring that to life. It's very difficult in a virtual way, but we've seen some fantastic examples of that in the past, where you can be quite creative when it's virtually, to show us your contact centre, to show us other people in your team, and, you know, show us the exciting things that you've been doing. So just use that time wisely to try and bring to life and make it exciting, your nomination, and most of all, enjoy it, because this is a real opportunity for you to celebrate what you've done within your team, regardless of where you come in the actual awards itself. It's a fantastic achievement to get to where you are, so just bring that to life in your nomination and enjoy the process, and that will rub off on the judges. So I think that's key for me. I don't know whether, you know, you've taken much from that, but I think that is the top tips I would kind of give.
Thank you very much, Julian. You're able to stick around, aren't you, to join and answer questions that people may have? Yeah, great. Thanks for that. Mark Brannen is now joining us. Mark is the Associate Director for BGL Group. Mark has been instrumental in BGL winning a number of awards for Northeast Contact Centre awards, but also national and European level awards also. So Mark we're delighted to have Mark joining us again as a judge this year. It's great to have you on board, Mark, and I'll pass the mic to you now so you can give your own advice to the people on the call. Thanks.
Morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Andrew, you just able to give me a wave just to say yeah? Yeah, cool. And first of all, I mean, thanks, Andrew. That's a really flattering picture. I think this was pre-lockdown. I don't think lockdown's been as kind to me as it has to Julie. So yeah, first of all, I'm really pleased to be involved with the judging again this year. And I'm super excited to be talking to everyone and just giving a little bit of a flavour as to what not just I'm looking for from the folk that we're judging this year, but from my experience of talking to other judges over a few years, some sort of generic tips and advice that might stand you in good stead. As Andrew mentioned, we've been fortunate here in BGL Insurance to have had some success in the Northeast Contact Centre Awards, the UK's and the Europeans. And that means that as well as getting the opportunity to judge, I've sat at the other side of the table too, so I know what it's like to be judged, and that's probably my first, that's where I'm starting with my first tip. Relax, enjoy the experience, but mainly remember that we're all friends. There is absolutely no one on the judging panel who is there to catch you out. So the judges, without exception, are all volunteers. We're all involved because we love hearing other people's stories. We love hearing best practice, as Julie said, but mainly we're here because we are real supporters of the contact centre industry, and specifically the contact centre industry here in the Northeast, which is, in my experience, by far the best the best area within the sector. Now, if you're able to relax, that sort of leads to my next tip, really, and it's be yourself. So you've done your written nominations, whether that's for an organisation or for an individual. I know how difficult that can be. I know how difficult it can be to put down on paper the reasons that you think you're great. But the reality is that if you've been shortlisted, it's because the judges have seen something in that nomination and gone, yeah, this person looks like they're at the top of the game, or this person has shown us enough that we want to learn more. So when we get to that point, it's important that you're able to give something of yourself. So if that's an individual award, we're really interested in learning about the person that's behind the nomination, if that makes sense. If it's an organisational award or a team award, as Julie's already indicated, we want to learn about the organisation or the team, not necessarily the presenter, but we really want that flavour of what it is that's made you so proud that you've put this nomination in, and then what it is that's so great about you that we can see makes you shine individually. The next tip I've got is it's not an interview, and there's a theme here. This is why it's relax, be yourself. We're not here to catch you out. Please don't expect if it's your first time being judged that you'll sit and a panel of judges will do a Q&A with you. That's not going to be the case. It's your opportunity to use that presentation time in the most creative way you want, just to tell your story. And what you might find is that when you've done with your presenting time, that the judges will have so many questions. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be because you've piqued the judge's interest, or you're short. You're short 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 2 hours is such a short time that there's so much more we want to learn. We will ask you questions, but again, don't think of it as an interview. Similarly, if we don't have a lot of questions, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. It might just be that you've told us everything that you want. So don't try and sort of second guess how things have gone, either afterwards or, more importantly, during the presentation period. It won't sort of really help you. 100+ nominations, 15 organisations. We're seeing a lot of really good people. what I would encourage you to do is to think about what makes you or your organisation different. It's sometimes called the so what question in my organisation. Whatever you're telling us, think about, well, so what? Why are you telling us that? What does it mean? And if there's something that really makes you different or makes you shine, the judges will love to hear that. Ultimately, after a day's judging, what tends to happen is there'll be some sort of generic nominations, and there'll be a couple that stand out. And they'll stand out for the reason that they've risen for some reason out of the rest, and they tend to be the nominations that do well and go on to be winners. And then, unsurprisingly, my last tip is just enjoy the experience. It's unlikely that anyone here will be judged winning year after year after year. It's highly unlikely. But you must be so proud to reach the stage that you are now. It would be a crying shame if you didn't, from this period right up to the day when we announce the winners, if you didn't really enjoy that experience, enjoy where you've brought your organisation to, or the fact that you personally have been nominated as someone your organisation and people believe is great. So just take that, enjoy it. And I can promise you that if you enjoy the day, the judges will enjoy the day, and we will definitely get the best out of you. My experience is, whilst having a few nerves is normal and usual, if you're super nervous, you won't perform at your best, and the judges will find it difficult to get those little golden nuggets that we want from you. That's about it from me, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. It was really useful input there, and particularly interested in what you were talking about in terms of authenticity and wanting to get the context and, you know, the backstory, if you like, from individuals or organizations, and enabling the interviewee to use the time to highlight their culture and what really drives themselves as individuals, teams, or organizations. So that's really, really useful advice. There was a little bit of background noise, I think, whilst Mark was speaking, so if we can just ensure that our mics are on mute, that would be great, because I realise a number of people are dialing in from live operational situations, which is good. But if we can just make sure that our mics are muted whilst our next judge takes the virtual floor now, Nicola Simpson, who leads customer relations for the Students' Loans Company. Welcome, Nicola. You've had a varied and a very successful career working for a number of contact centres over the years. I realise that you also have been involved in competing and winning awards on numerous levels as well. So it's great to have you on board once more. I know that you put a lot of work in to the 2020 version of NECCA, so we're delighted that you're bringing your energy again to the judging process. So Nick, welcome, over to you, and give us the benefit of your thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew. Again, echoing everybody's comments this morning, it's great to be here for this year in 2021, and super excited to kind of go through this process and then to meet you at an actual live party event. How great is that? Couldn't do that last year, but that would be absolutely phenomenal to do that this year. I suppose when I was prepping kind of what my top tips would be, as Andrew mentioned before, I've been a person who's written awards, won awards and judged awards, so I've put myself in the mindset of where I was at that time, and also reflecting back on last year's nominations and interview period. And my top tips are very similar, and what I'm really pleased to see is actually throughout the whole discussion from Mark and from Julie, we are echoing each other's thoughts, and we didn't collaborate in our top tips, which means that we're all on the same wavelength, which I think is really great. So prepare well is number one for me, and I say that not to say that people aren't preparing well, but actually don't be frightened to refer to your notes when you're actually in the process, because you've done that preparation. You know, we will give you the time and space to think within, you know, the interviews and the chats that we have. But do take time, and especially in your individual interviews, to refer to your notes. It's a shame not to use them to walk away and think, I should have said that, especially when it's, you know, it's not looked at as a negative thing. It's actually a positive thing that you do that. And in terms of rehearsing as well, practice is one of the things that I always used to do. But I used to do it with an independent person, not somebody who necessarily works alongside you, but somebody who doesn't know your work as well as what you do, or, you know, a work colleague would do. And if they can often understand the story that you're trying to tell, and it makes sense to them, you know that you're covering all aspects. My husband used to be the person who I used to sit and talk to and run through examples, and it really helped me to think, right, I never thought of that. Or he would ask me a question, and that which would make me give a more complete answer. So I'd absolutely say, you know, seek out that independent view as well as the people that you're actually working with. And Mark alluded to apply the so what rule. I would say that's an absolute must. You know, we're interested in what the impact, what the benefit, you know, what the meaning is behind your examples, and we will try to extract that, but it does not sound good when you're telling us that. So, you know, if you're going to be writing an example, apply, so what does that mean? And please don't assume just because we're from the industry that we know exactly what you're talking about. So bring it to life for us in the best way that you can. My fourth one is don't be shy. You know, we see a lot of different personality types, and some people have no problem in terms of sharing things. Last year, when I reflected back, I did see a few people who were a little bit more timid in how they brought that to life, and almost felt probably that they couldn't explain how good that they were. Take the opportunity, please don't be shy. That's the detail that we're interested in. We will, you know, the statements that you say and how you say it will be backed up by the fact and the story that you're telling us. So don't be shy. It is absolutely your time to shine, and tell us how good you are. And I think have fun, relax. I know it sounds a bit odd in a situation which is, you know, we head it up as an interview. We try to make you feel as relaxed as possible. We are there to get the best out of you on the day, so that does mean that we will potentially ask you further questions for more information. That is a good thing, but we're there. Please just bear that in mind, that we're absolutely there to get the best out of you on the day, and we will give you the opportunities to show your personality, show the work that you've done, and you know, take that time to do that with us. So really looking forward to meeting some of you guys this time round. I wish you all the best of luck, and thank you for listening to my top tips.
Thank you very much, Nick. That was great, and thanks again for joining us this morning. And I think all 4 judges are going to hang around for the Q&A, which is fantastic. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, with perfect timing, Stuart's now joined. Stuart is joining the session from 9:30, and which is why he's closing off the thoughts and do's and don'ts and personal advice from the core judges who've been on the call this morning. So Stuart, welcome. Stuart Overend, Head of Customer Support and Operational Transformation at Shawbrook Bank. That's quite a mouthful, but Stuart's had quite a varied career in financial services. Worked for Barclays for a number of years and Tesco, but also worked for several other contact center operations as well on customer support and operational excellence. Stuart, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Andrew. First of all, I have to apologise for that photo. That must be about 12 years out of date. I really must get my LinkedIn sorted out, because it's a very different person that's looking back at me on this Zoom call. So, well, look, again, thanks for your time, everyone. And you've probably, these are common themes that, you know, my fellow judges probably have gone through already. But for me, really, just going through these, it's about authenticity. So, you know, certainly been through this previously, you know, the whole buzzwords that you tend to see, and the, you know, my blue sky thinking, and, you know, just all the sort of things that you think, I don't really want to hear that. I want to hear about you as an individual. I don't want to hear about, all the sort of things that you think tick a box and stuff. So please don't think that there's a sort of a game to play, sort of bingo, in terms of trying to get some keywords into your answers, because that's absolutely not the case. I just want you to be you, which for me is really important. Be open and honest. So I'm a very simple guy, and what I mean by that is that, don't try and sort of make things up that ultimately didn't happen. As Nicola said earlier, our job is really to get the best out of you, and if there's not enough detail there, we will absolutely probe and ask a few more questions. So again, yeah, just for me, be completely open and honest. Focus on the outcomes. So again, going through sort of the judging process, I'm really keen to understand what was the outcome from a customer perspective, from an individual perspective. I'm quite visual, so if you see me on Zoom and I'm closing my eyes and I'm looking up at the ceiling or something, it's just the style that I have. So please don't think that I'm falling asleep or anything else like that. I'm very visual. I like to try and picture that. So for me, the absolute outcome for whatever the task or initiative was is really, really important. What's the differentiator? So you're all here for a reason. You're all fantastic at the job that you do. That for me is clearly evident. And I sort of I don't take that in the, sort of lightly, but actually the reason you're here is because you're good at what you do. So what is the differentiator? What is it that makes you stand out? And I suppose, when I look at it, lots of people are role models, or they're mentors, or they're involved in things outside of their day-to-day role, and that's great because it gives you a wealth of experience, and that's why I love the contact center industry. But actually, what's that little bit that's different? So for me, that with the outcomes, it really sort of helps bring that to life. I suppose the final bit really is enjoy it. We're here to get the best out of you. You should be absolutely over the moon that you've been recognized, or to sort of be at this point. Enjoy the experience, because one day I have no doubt that people on this Zoom call will be sat in the same position as myself and Mark and Nicola, judging and looking at what, contact centers and customer services will look like in the future. So get as much out of it as you can, and then for me, just enjoy it. I know it's easy for us to say, but we're here to enjoy it. I really want to get to sort of know people and know a little bit more about them. So that's me really, fairly simple. Probably a bit of a repetition from what my fellow judges have said previously, but so that's me.
Thank you very much, Stuart. That's great where you finished off on that enjoying point. I'm not sure exactly how many people are going to enjoy the interviews, but we all perform best, don't we, when we're in a positive mindset and doing something enjoyable. So I think that is a critical point also. And hopefully it'll resonate with people on the call to smile, be positive, be energetic through the interview process and through the final judging process, and get their points across with that mentality. So Stuart, Nicola, Julie and Mark are here this morning to answer any questions also in the last part of this session. A couple of other judges have sent their apologies. Unfortunately, they weren't able to join this session, notably Christine Allenson, who's our head judge, who's led this process and will continue to do so over the next few weeks. So Christine sent her apologies, but if you do need to ask any questions of any of the judges outside of this environment, please do so via ourselves, via myself personally, Andrew at projects-studio.co.uk. Hopefully you'll be familiar with our email addresses now. Bryony is obviously Bryony at projects-studio.co.uk, and feel free to do that, and we can act as triage if you like and pass those questions on to any of the judges that you want further clarification on if you don't get the answers to the questions that you might have this morning. So I'll stop prattling on now and allow you to do that, to ask any questions, to seek any clarity from the points that the judges have been making this morning, or anything to do with the process as well that we've got in place over the next few weeks. So if you'd like to open up your mics and we can have a quick Q&A session. Don't all shout at once.
I think Kenza's got a hand up, Andrew.
Ah, right, okay. Kenza.
I thought I'd be the first one to ask.
Go for it.
Maybe a daft question, but during the obviously listen to the judges now, they've talked about the impact and visualization, stuff like that. Is it best for the interviews to have a presentation to go along with the verbal interview, or is it just all verbal?
My personal view is I think some form of backup, some sort of AV could be really, really useful for you, but I'll allow the judges to speak on that point as well. So Julie, what would your advice be?
I think for me, a blend of both is ideal, but I think, you know, don't get too hung up on making the technology. It's about the people, and the authenticity is more important than something being flash. It's, you know, it could be just bringing to life the feel and the environment and the buzz within your contact center. For me, would be more important than a slick PowerPoint or any fancy technology in there, but you've got creative license to use that however you wish.
Thanks,
Okay,
Julie.
thanks.
Nick, Mark, or Stuart, would you like to add anything to that particular point?
I think Mark does.
Mark.
Yeah, I think for me, if I mean, it's a great question. The judges will be scribbling frantically all the way through presentation and Q&A, trying to get as much down as they can. But the judging, if you like, the judging process actually finishes after we've seen everybody. Now, it's so much easier if, in my experience, if there has been something, it doesn't need to be too complex, but just something on screen that means that I can go, yeah, I can see the point that's being made now. I can jot that down in my own time. Quite often, if you do use a presentation, the lead judge will ask for a copy of that. It just helps them in terms of getting evidence, you know, rather than relying on notes. So, yeah, I don't think we're looking for war and peace, but if you've got key points, then yeah, the judges would appreciate that generally. And I do think it's useful to help keep yourself on track, particularly when in terms of timings and stuff. Julie mentioned technology. I think what I will say now is my experience at the North East Contact Centre Awards, the UK and the Europeans, is technology will not work on the day. Don't worry about it. Don't get frightened about it. Don't think that it's, you know, the judges were very used to going, oh, crikey, we might have to have a 5-minute pause here while we get things up and running. So that's just a slight aside, but that goes back to the relax thing. We're not here to judge your presentation skills or your Zoom or Team skills either.
Yeah, more often than not, it's us having the technical issues as well.
It's you, Julie, isn't it?
Thanks a lot for that, Mark. Thanks for asking the question, Kenzo, and good luck. We'll move on then, shall we, to another question that's come in from Kelly. In the Contact Centre of the Year showcase, can we virtually split the judges to focus on specific subjects, therefore maximise the time, or do they need to stay together for the full judging process of 2 hours? Nick or Stuart, do you want to speak to that question?
I think probably this is a one more for Julie with the centre ones. I know going back to Barclays days of the centre award, we did split them to maximise the time. So I totally get where Kelly's coming from, but I think it's more relevant if Julie probably answers that as she's more involved in the centre.
Yeah, I think because we've got the 2 hours split, what we did last year is we didn't split it off, just because I think it's easier to split judges when you do an on-site judging. It's not as easy with virtual, so I think we tried to contain it all together on the virtual because it was just it's just too difficult to try and split the judges, and also because there's less judges than on an on-site visit, it's easier for the calibration if the judges have all experienced and seen the same, whereas on an on-site visit, you can't, you know, it's a completely different process. But I think it's important that both judges experience the same kind of thing because, you know, 2 sessions could be very, very different.
Okay, thanks for that, Julie. Kelly, I hope that answers your question. Come back on the chat if you want to.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kelly. And good luck also. Susan from NHS Business Services Authority has asked a question as well. It's that enjoyment again, asking what the judges most enjoy from their roles at this stage. And going forwards, during the interviews, when you've done this process in the past, have you had any light bulb moments that I guess has benefited yourselves as individuals, or that you've thought could be applied within your own organisations?
I'll answer that if you like.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, yes, definitely the light bulb moments. And as you alluded to before, we're frantically scribbling notes down. But it's, for me, what I actually in the interview process, what I love to see is when somebody's in the zone and they're coming across really passionate, even though it's been virtual, it kind of somehow comes through the screen, and I kind of get like go along the same kind of path with you. But yes, sharing best practice is something that we're massive advocates for in terms of the NECCs, and sharing that best practice is something that I think we, you know, if we were meeting face to face and virtually, is something that we should absolutely be doing. And some of those themes are fed back into the sessions that Julie hosts as part of the contact centre forum along the way. So absolutely, if you know, if there's something that I think I can go, right, oh, that would be really useful, that would, of course, I'm going to share that best practice and put it back into the industry. You know, strengthens us all, doesn't it, at the end of the day?
Thanks, Nick. Julie, would you add anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Stuart, it was your first year of judging for NECCA last year, and you had quite a few moments that you really enjoyed digging. Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the thing for me, similar to what Nicola said, but I suppose first and foremost, I'm quite nosy, so I like to know what's going on. So being involved with different parts of the contact center industry and understanding the challenges that people are facing, whether they're similar or very different, I get a real buzz out of understanding how people challenge those or sort of deal with those types of things. You know, I don't know, I don't have all the answers, none of us have all the answers, but actually it's been really useful for me to be able to connect to businesses post that to say, do you know, we've got some issues in this space, or actually, do you know what, we've done something here. So them for me are you know, are sort of the golden nuggets, and also to see, you know, the rising stars that are coming through. You know, you see some people who are, you think, you know, I would love them to be in my team, just that passion, that energy, that drive. So yeah, so that's probably what I got from it most from last year. So yeah, if that makes any sense.
Thanks, Stuart. Mark, would you add anything to that one, or?
I wouldn't add much, actually. I think Stuart's more or less taken my answer there. It's every now and then you see an organisation or you see an individual, and not necessarily, you might not have had amazing expectations based on the nomination itself, but when you see people face to face or virtually face to face, you just do get that moment where you think, oh my gosh, these people are very, very good. Oh my gosh, this individual is amazing. And I think, you know, Nicola said those organisations, those people take you with them and just make you realise that the North East Contact Centre industry is amazing. We've got amazing talent in there, and you're in the presence of it, and it's actually incredibly inspiring. And I suspect for most of us who do judging, that's why we do the judging.
Thanks a lot, Mark. That's great to hear. Julie, did I see a little hand raised there, or should we move on?
No, I was just typing a message there, but I think what we've all the lead judges have agreed that from as a result of last year is that NECCA moving forward is a bit of a learning and best practice forum as well. It's evolving out of NECCA, and where this year we've invited some of the people that won last year to come and observe as an observing judge this year, with a view to potentially joining the support judges next year. So there is a natural progression for people that have been involved in NECCA as nominees and winners, so that we're very much seeing that is, you know, a progressive route of building a new pool of judges as well. So there's opportunities for everybody.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'll just take a very brief moment to give a shout out to, in terms of kind of thought leadership and evolving and developing the contact center industry in the Northeast. Just very brief mention for the session that we've got tomorrow that some people may be booked into. It's on gamification. and we're joined by a sponsor, Verint, working with Centrical gamification experts, and they're going to present the case study that's enabled WebHelp to drive a huge increase in employee engagement, which has obviously massively impacted on their customer satisfaction and customer experience as well. So we're doing that as a thought leadership sort of best practice webinar tomorrow. It's going to be the first of 2 sessions that Verint are enabling us to deliver. That's at 10 o'clock tomorrow for those of you who may be interested. Details on the website. So advert over. On with the questions. Callum from Ocado, a new entrant into the awards this year. It's great to have Ocado competing with the other organisations within NECCA this time around. Callum, thanks for asking your question. For the individual awards, can we include others who've been impacted as a result of the work? Nick, can I pass that one to you, because I know that you're involved in individual judging.
Yeah, so in your actual interview, it's about you connecting with the judges, and we ask you a series of questions, but I can't remember which judge mentioned it originally, but bringing that, you know, bringing to life some of the quotes that maybe come from your colleagues who've been, you know, positively impacted by your work as part of your examples. Absolutely, you know, bring those stories to life for us. But in the actual interview situation, it is generally just yourself. In the individual awards, it's yourself and the judge and the support judge. But I would say yes, bring to life those colleague moments, those community moments, and the business impact. Bring that to life in your examples that you give. And you know, you can read out quotes to us, which goes back to my previous point around use your notes. If you can't remember that, then refer to your notes and share that with us.
Great, thanks, Nick.
Can I just add to that, Andrew? I mean, I think sometimes people would like to bring people into the sessions because, you know, ultimately it provides a little bit more confidence, and, you know, doing this thing on your own can be seen as quite daunting. You know, my observations last year doing the judging was that, you know, everyone was doing this from home. It was, you know, it was very, very different to doing it previous years. You know, Amazon would turn up, some things would happen. Yeah. You know, I mean, Julie laughs about it now, but I had an example where my daughter was screaming downstairs because my husky had tried to eat the tortoise we'd got from the school. And I was in the middle of the judging session. So I'm like, right, do I leave the tortoise? Do I let him get on with it, fend for its life? Or do I come back and sort this out? Things will happen. And quoting Mark previously, you know, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. This is about you as individuals, about, you know, you will freeze, you will go blank in interviews. We've all done it before. That's absolutely fine. So, you know, don't think that you need to bring people in to provide yourselves that additional confidence. We will absolutely put our arms around you and make sure you're okay.
Yeah. Can you just reassure everyone that the tortoise is okay though, Stuart?
Oh yeah, the tortoise is fine. So I had to prise it out of the husky's mouth. It was quite funny, but yeah, different day.
I'm going to miss you as a support judge this year.
I'm not allowed to tortoise anymore.
Thanks for that, Stuart. Callum, was that okay? Has that answered your question?
Yeah, it did. So just one last question. In relation to the individual awards, are you looking more for the like expectation of a presentation, or is it, you know, just being present with the judges and kind of, you know, answering the questions like Nicola just said that they're asking?
Yeah, it's a case of answering the questions, but it's not dissimilar to when you go preparing for a job interview. I suppose it's about you thinking about your best kind of examples, you know, what you've put in your nomination as well, those types of things. Just make sure that you're really prepared with the, you know, the background in essence of the work that you've done, because that's what we're asking you about.
Right, brilliant, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Callum. Helen from Sage, thanks for asking the question, Helen. When I do the presentation, everyone's got the chat on their screens as well. I don't want to give exactly the same info that I gave you in the nomination. My understanding is that you want to elevate what you already know and bring it to life and provide a little bit more context, I guess Helen means, around that. Just want to ensure that she's on the right track. I'd say yes, but I'm sure the judges would expand a lot more on that. Julie, what would your thoughts be?
Absolutely. I mean, we will, you know, the nomination itself has got you through to the shortlist, and it's now about, you're on a level playing field with all of the other people in that category. So now it's about how can you springboard what you've already told us and how you can bring that to life in a level playing field with the other people in the same competition. I mean, Mark, you've had several years of bring you in. If you've certainly brought to life your nominations during the judging process. I've been on the other side of judging BGL several times, and he's quite a master at that. Do you want to give an idea, Mark, of how you elevate your answers?
Yeah, thanks. I think it's actually the team here that are masters rather than myself, but appreciate the nod. It can be a slightly risky business to assume that you can put just enough into the nomination through the nomination process, the written nomination, to pique the judge's interests and therefore keep your powder dry for the day. But what I would say is that the folk on this call who've been shortlisted, you've already done that. So if you're holding something back, if there's more you can give, more you can tell, particularly if you can bring the black and white, the 250 words per category to life, we would love to hear it. The other thing I would say, though, just in answer to the original question, is in terms of the process for shortlisting, in each category there's been a lead judge who's taken the written nominations and gone through those with a fine-tooth comb, and then on the day they'll be supported by support judges who won't have the same depth of knowledge of the nominations. So please don't assume that all three judges will have completely read, digested your nomination completely, so you can forget about it. So absolutely expand on it, but don't assume that what you've already told us is a given in all three judges' minds.
Thanks very much, Mark. Stuart, Nick, anything to add to what Julie and Mark have contributed?
Yeah, I would just say it probably goes back to Stuart's point before about being authentic. You know, it has to be believable, and I think when you're comfortable that you're telling your message in a way that, or presenting in a way that reflects the culture, the values of your business, and you know, and you bring that to life for us. People use various different mediums in doing it. You know, in terms of the presentations, they have other people that participate and plays their role. Some people use video, audio, all that kind of thing. You've got to be comfortable with the message that you're wanting to deliver and how that matches what your business is all about. And like I said before, especially in the presentations, my advice would be to rehearse, to practice. Yeah, you're not going to be able to plan for everything, the doorbells, the dogs, the tortoises and all that kind of thing. But, you know, plan and prepare for what you can and what's within your gift. So rehearse and get some feedback from a previous audience, you know, some other people within your business before you do come to the live event. That would be my advice.
Great, thanks for Nick. Thanks for that, Nick. Sorry, Stuart, anything to add quickly? Okay. From my point of view, obviously I'm not involved in the judging process, but you get sort of black and white words on the paper, don't you, in the nomination forms, and I guess the interview and the second round of judging allows the candidates to add a significant amount of colour to their entry. Yeah. And set the context and the background that we've heard about this morning and really bring it to life and highlight their expertise and their excellence and why they should beat the competition in the award category that they've entered. Thanks. Are there any other questions? We are, my watch says 10:56, so we've got 4 minutes to go. So if there's any other questions, now's your time to do that in a live environment. As I say, you can easily also direct questions to the judges, care of either myself or Brannen here at the NECCA office. Anyone got any other thoughts to contribute to what they've heard this morning, or any points of clarification? Okay, well, we've got 3 or 4 minutes saved then from the hour-long session. It remains for me to thank once again the core judges who've joined us this morning, Stuart, Nick, Mark and Julian. Thanks to all of you as well, who've given up an hour of your precious time to be with us this morning. Hope it's been helpful, informative, and will inspire you to make a true success of the next round of judging. I wish you all the very best of luck. Please remember the 11th of November, the big night. If your organisation doesn't have a table yet for the final awards ceremony, then please make sure that you're booked in. We've got about 350 people attending that gala dinner so far. It's going to be a fantastic night, a lot of entertainment. Great to get the whole industry coming together again in a live environment, and I'm sure we're all very much looking forward to it. I know that I am, most certainly. Thanks again for joining, everybody, and best of luck with the next round of judging. Bye-bye.